Hello everybody, my name is Beck. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Look at my backdrop. This is why I don't have any money. Anyway, happy new year. I hope you guys are safe and well. Today I'll just like to address a couple of things before I start this video. I'm wearing a lot of winter stuff. I am not from the northern hemisphere. I'm from the southern hemisphere. It's supposed to be summer in Australia, and a couple of days ago it was indeed very hot. All of a sudden it's thunderstorming, so I don't know if you can hear me clearly, hopefully. So we're just gonna have some background ASMR. So my general feedback for this channel is don't put background music, because on my gaming channel I do have background music. It just makes the whole vibe a lot better. But for my book channel I don't have background noises for this reason, because I have a hard time describing things, explaining things. If I put background music, it doesn't sound great. But today I'll be going through my reading goals for this year, my January TBR. LOL, I'm posting this late. It's already the 6th of January. I have started reading a couple of books. I've gone sidetracked and I haven't been following it. This is the guide that I'm forcing myself to follow, and chances are if I learned about myself from last year, I don't follow my TBR, but sometimes I do. For this year we're just gonna try and do our best, okay? We don't have to be perfect. And again, I went outside today. I had a meeting this morning and I wore a full face of makeup. Most of them is washed off by now because I did film a Booktopia haul video earlier today. So if you want to watch that, I'm going to post this one first and the whole video will come next. And as you can see, there's a pile of books behind me. That's another video upcoming soon, the whole video. There was a massive sale during Black Friday and during Boxing Day sale, so it's a combination of both. I just needed to talk about certain books so I can move them around. If I don't put them in a certain pile, I'm not going to remember the order, and I don't want to watch my older videos, figure out what the hell I showed and what I didn't. So without further ado, I think I've rambled long enough, so let's start off with the physical TBR. The very first book that I want to read is this one. I've mentioned this book a couple of times in my previous TBR and I still haven't read it yet. I can feel it. 2023 is the year where I start reading historical romance. So many people on BookTube, Book Talk, Goodreads, Storygram have suggested this is the beginner's guide to like historical romance. It is When a Scot Ties Not, Castle Ever After series by Tessa Dare. I've had this for a while and everybody talks about how great this book is, so I'm going to start off with this one. My first and only historical romance. Now that I'm touching this texture, it reminds me of this one. Same texture. Not my favorite, but I think this is like a mass paperback. I bought this from a local UK bookstore. Because historical romance, they look really pretty, but most of the time they're really hard to find, so I got that. I've been rambling a long time for that one. TLDR, the story for this one is she needs to get married and she doesn't want to get married, so she fakes this whole relationship about this Scottish guy. I think that's the title. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So basically she writes a bunch of letters addressing to this person that doesn't exist. At least she thinks that guy doesn't exist, so people can stop like harassing her about like getting married. So she's like writing these fake letters, and one day this dude shows up and that's their romance. Sounds really cute and fun. A shocker to me. I'm finally gonna start the series. I saw Larry Reed's talk about how she's gonna start this series as well, and I've been thinking about it for a very long time. Ever since I bought the book, actually, so a couple of months ago. I want to know what the fuss is all about. I'm a little bit too old for this, but I trust and believe. I had the first 3 books and I will force myself to read it. I don't even know what this is about. Is it like sci-fi? Like dystopian? I just want to know what is up with Aaron Warner. I know he's 5'9". I need to convert that later because I don't know what that is in centimeters. But anyway, I know this book has been on my TBR for a while. We're not going to put it in this pile. I'm lying to myself if I put it in this pile. So, like this pile that I'm showing. Let's just ignore that. Let me cover that up. If you're a If you're a returning subscriber, anyway, it's not part of today's video. So we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I bought this on launch day. I pre-ordered this book. Have I read it yet? I also have the audiobook for this. I need to read this. I've seen like really mixed reviews about this book, but how would I know if I don't read it? It's kind of like Enemies to Lovers. You would think I would dive right in the moment I got this book, but I didn't. I love Enemies to Lovers. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but that's my trope. It's between Nora and Small Town Breakup. So it's between Nora and Charlie. Sounds great. If you're a returning subscriber, you've seen this before. I know my TBR videos don't do well, but if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back. How many times did I say I'll read this book and I haven't? Set on You by Amy Lee. The second book is coming out sometime this month, so I have to read it. So it's Body Positivity. I've said this every single month. I'm repeating myself at this point. Her Amazing Things, Asian rap. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, sounds great. Second book is coming out. Been saying for months I'll read it. Second book is coming out. Got rejected on NetGalley for the second book. I deserve it now that I think about it. So I need to read this. I also have the audiobook. What's my excuse? What is my excuse? Procrastination. Oh, actually no. I have more physical books. I was about to say that this would be my last one. I just got this today. Fresh, brand new. I'm exhausted from filming. I was planning to immediately start this because the moment I saw this, I really wanted to read it. I love The Cruel Prince. Yeah, I've heard really mixed reviews. At first, I thought I wouldn't like it because I'm not the biggest fan of YA books. I prefer like adult fiction, adult romance. I know a lot of people also say like The Cruel Prince is predictable and they didn't like it because they thought it was a romance. Please don't go into The Cruel Prince thinking it's romance. It's not really about romance. There is romantic elements, but it's not the main focus. It's a lot of family drama, politics and all of that. I just want to see what Jude and Carden. But I saw someone earlier today who had a ARC copy finally released their review saying that this one is like Jude and Carden from the previous books from The Cruel Prince gets mentioned in the book, but they don't really show up until like the second part of this book apparently. I'm not sure. I haven't even read it yet. I just got the book. For all my besties, it's Oak. This story is about 17-year-old Oak. He was such a baby in the previous books. I can't wait to see what happens. But I heard there's like also a cliffhanger. Apparently it's like really predictable. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I've only seen one review talk about it. So I was really hoping for like cameos of the previous characters, but apparently they didn't really show up that much, but that's fine. All of the books from The Cruel Prince, I know there's like a series name for it, but I can't think of it on top of my head. They have like beautiful illustrations throughout the book. I mean, hello. But you have to read the first 3 books to kind of get what is happening with this one, because technically this is book number 4 and it's part of a duology, so I don't know how long I have to wait until I get like the second part of this one. I haven't even started reading it yet. I recently found out that I have access to the audiobook for this one. I really don't have an excuse because this one is a fairly quick read if I concentrate hard enough. I recently posted a story that said that I was going to start this book. This was not the first book that I read of 2023, okay? Very first book that I read in 2023 was That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemons. I had access to the audiobook. I saw it. I didn't want to use my brain on that particular day. Heard really great things about it, so I just started reading that one. That was my first book that I read for this year, and I will be continuing with that series, but not this one. This is why I never do wrap-up videos, because just in case I turn out to be a liar. Time traveling, hints of romance, heard really good things, seen people cry over this book. I think it's Sivan reads. She loves this book. I do have the other 2 books as well, and I did actually start reading it. I just stopped at page 10. I'm not a complete liar, I guess. I'm just a mood reader, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge on what I want to read and what I don't. And when I start reading something, sometimes I'll just stop at page 2 if I'm not vibing with it that day, and I'll just pick up a random book. Mostly Kindle Unlimited books are my downfall. If I see like a random audiobook at my library that's free to loan, that's like 15 years old, but it has something to do with like paranormal romance, I'll just like jump at the first chance I get. I don't want to do a deep dive on my thinking process because truthfully I don't know what I'm doing half of the time. Most of the time my lights went out. I didn't charge my lights completely because they ran out during my 45-minute rant from the previous haul video, which I thought would be straightforward, but apparently I like to talk a lot, like right now. Anyway, so if I look different, that's why. My Kindle Unlimited subscription is going to come to an end on the 31st of January of this year of 2023. And I'm going to let my Kindle Unlimited subscription go. I'm not going to renew it unless there's like a massive deal that I can't resist. Then I'm going to rejoin. The reason why I'm letting my Kindle Unlimited go is because I want to finally get through my physical TBR. It's getting out of control. Look at the pile behind me. I still haven't done a video on it. I just got a couple of new ones today. So for Kindle Limited, I want to read How the Grump Saved Christmas by Claire Kingsley. I know it's a Christmas book. I know it's a holiday book. I know I said it last month I'll read it for my December TBR, and I didn't do that because I got distracted and I read a bunch of holiday books, just not this one. I did buy the audiobook. Once again, my Kindle Unlimited subscription is going to end, so I want to read it before that ends. I know it's January and it's like already like a week into January. By the time you're watching this is maybe like 2 weeks into January because I have like a bunch of stuff to do and I don't know when I'm going to edit it because I'm rambling at this point. The second book I'm going to read is Golden by Shannon Meyer. Now here's the thing, I don't know if I'm actually going to read it for reals. I've seen the audiobook for $3.50. I'm tempted to buy it. I don't even know like what the book is about. I know it's about shifter romance, but the second book is not out yet. And I tend to like to read like the series all in one go rather than waiting for the second book to come out like months to come. I just want to know like if there is an end to a series, because I made the mistake of starting the Zodiac Academy thinking that there was an end. And while the writing for the book is not good, and in some cases I actually hated the first 3 books, I couldn't stop. But that's besides the point. I'm taking a break from Zodiac Academy. January is not the month for it. Until I see the final book, I ain't gonna pick that series up again. Next book that I really want to read is Forever Never by Lucy Score. I bought the audio book for it. I got rejected by NetGalley for the ARC because I think it's getting traditionally published here in Australia eventually, and that's why the ARC was available on NetGalley. And because I am curious and I want to read about it and it's on Kindle Limited, I decided to buy the audiobook as well for cheap. Sometimes when you have Kindle Limited, you can get like audiobooks for cheaper that way. So not all of them, because a lot of K.A. Tucker books, especially the more popular like The Simple Wild, the audiobooks is still freaking expensive despite it being discounted. So there are rare chances, but besides the point, I am not reading that book for this month. I am getting sidetracked. The next book on my Kindle Limited that I really want to read is Can't Spell Treason Without T, a cozy fantasy steeped with love by Rebecca Fawn. I've heard really good things about it. I wish I had read this earlier, but I only recently stumbled upon it. I didn't realize this book was on Kindle Limited, but now that I downloaded it on Kindle Limited, I'm going to read it. A lot of people link this book with Legends and Lattes, and it's supposed to be like cozy, non-high stakes, sapphic. Well, yeah, they're both actually sapphic. Sapphic romance. Yeah, cozy sapphic romance. Fantasy vibes. Romance. I'm just glad that it's on Kindle Limited so I can read it on Kindle Limited before my subscription runs out. I'm forcing myself to read this because once it runs out, the book is gone and I'm not resubscribing because I'm trying to force myself to read my physical TBR and to actually finish my library loans, which is next after I go through all my Kindle Limited. The next book I downloaded was Iced Out, Leighton's You Book 1 by C. Ritchie. I started the book. I don't really like where it's going. I don't really like angst between like teenage, well, it's not even teenage, college romance. I'm not a big fan of new age. I don't really like YA. I actually like YA more than new age. I prefer adult fiction, adult romance. But yeah, I either want YA or I want adult. New age bothers me the most. So something about college romance, just I don't want to be reminded and be traumatized. Next book I want to read is Love Like Farms by B.K. Morrison. I said I'll read it last month. Listen, I read a lot of holiday romances. I never got around to it, and I have access to the audiobook, so I'm not like completely fussed about it. I can borrow it off Hoopla, so I don't necessarily have to finish it on Kindle Unlimited, but I'll like to. And I have What Lies Beyond the Veil by Adelaide Forrest and Harper Woods. They have the last name and first name like switched on Kindle Unlimited, so that's why I'm struggling. The book was taken out of Kindle Unlimited. The authors did mention about it on Instagram, I think. And when they said it, they were like, download the book on Kindle Unlimited. If you have Kindle Unlimited, we're taking it out. So I did that, even though I have no context or no idea what the book is even about. But they said that, so I did that. So I think it has something to do with fantasy and romance. I'll read it one of these days. I also have Lucifer's Bride by Sky Wilson and Roxy Ray. Paranormal fantasy romance sounds like a thing I would read, but I am 5% into it and thinking about just returning the book and DNFing it. I'm just not vibing with it for some reason. It's on me. It sounded really promising, but I think it's just like too lengthy. I just saw the size of the book and I'm like, okay, maybe one day, but today is not the day. I'm looking for shorter romances. I also have Anastasia by Sophie Lark. This will be my first Sophie Lark book if I end up reading it. But I've seen some illustrations. Apparently it's like really good. I heard like mostly positive reviews. I've seen one negative so far. I really want to start reading Sophie Lark's books. I bought The Brutal Prince. This isn't Kindle Limited. I bought it. And I also bought the audiobook because everybody was like raving about it. Apparently there's illustrations in this. Originally I had the older cover, but I managed to figure out a way to update the cover because I like discreet covers more. The strawberries. I know why there's strawberries here because it's an arranged marriage and the guy that she is married to, she's not into. So she eats strawberries and kiss him on the altar because he's allergic to strawberries. Girl boss things. I'm not reading that this month because I bought the book so I don't have to worry about losing it on my Kindle Unlimited. But I think Anastasia is based in like fantasy land, not contemporary. Like, I also have Ruby Malice by Naomi West. I think this is a mafia romance. I read a couple of mafia romance and I'm not the biggest fan of mafia romance. I like to keep giving them chances just to see what sticks. This is actually mafia romance, so maybe I'll change my tune. Who the hell? I think this is mafia. I don't know for sure. My brain is a mess at the moment. We'll just go with it. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me down below or I'll correct myself here. 'Tis the Season for Revenge, a holiday romantic comedy by Morgan Elizabeth. I wanted to read it. I heard really good things about it. Every single person, well, majority of people, I've only ever seen like 2 negative reviews, which is like understandable. I know the premises of the story sounds really great. Interesting girl boss energy. I can't wait to read it. Again, I know it's January, but I read a lot of other holiday romance in December and they were really good too. I also have Gravity by Tal Buer. Again, if I butcher anybody's names, I'm so sorry. Hockey romance. I have 3 hockey romance in my Kindle Limited. I think I was going through a hockey phase apparently. Why do I have so many sports romance? I don't know. I think I was going through a phase because it's towards the bottom, so it's been a while since I attempted to read it. I also have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. It was on Kindle Limited for a while. I knew this book was going to be taken out of Kindle Limited because the moment it got popular, I just knew. I ran to Kindle Limited, downloaded it immediately. This has happened a couple of times. Most of the times authors will give you a heads up. Like, that's why I downloaded What Lies Beyond, because I saw the TikTok of the authors talking about it. That's why I went and downloaded it. Sometimes you have to like sign up for the newsletters and they'll announce it that way, or they'll post it somewhere on their social media. But I don't follow every single author, and sometimes the algorithm on Instagram especially like gets all muddled up and I don't see it. I just knew like once the book gets popular, it usually gets taken out of Kindle Limited. That's when I usually would download the book, even though I know I won't read it. But since I'm going to let my Kindle Limited subscription go, I have to read it. I also have the physical book pre-ordered and it's coming out in February. You can get it for $12 from Big W. I think the pre-order is sold out, but it comes and goes, so you can like wait for it to come back if you're from Australia. $12. But anyway, I heard that it's very lengthy, it's very long, but anyway, looking forward to reading it. Worst case scenario, I don't come around to reading it. At least I know the physical book's coming out in February, so I'll have it either way. But since I have it on Kindle Unlimited, I just prefer reading the ebook. I have a lot of questionable titles as well. I also have The King's Omega, the Lost Line series, book 1 by Mary Bright. I don't know if I'm actually gonna read it. I think I was just looking for something to fill up the Kindle Limited space because I can borrow up to 20 books. I also have Ensnare by Alien Romance by Tiffany Roberts. I've read other Tiffany Roberts books, the Kraken ones. They weren't my favorite, but I heard really good things about this alien romance because I love a good alien romance. Not particularly fond of spiders per se. I heard the romance is really good. I started the book like sometime last year, but I need to go back to the beginning to restart it. I know there's 3 books in total. I'm hoping there will be an audiobook in the future because that will make my life a lot easier. I love listening to audiobooks, but if not, I can just read it. I have Broken Mates by Jen L. Gray. I need to read that. I also have Blind Side by Candy Steiner. I bought the audiobook. It was like really popular when it first came out. I have it, but it's not the first book of the series, but I'm just gonna have to like read the first book of the series before I hop onto this one. I know you can read it as a standalone, but I like to go in order. I also have Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. H.D. Carlton recently did a TikTok addressing the situation and some issues in her books. So yeah, apparently there was some like issues with the book and she will be correcting it and editing the book. I don't know if it's in the first one or the second book, but the author did address the issues in the book and it's not my apology to accept, and I don't really know the ins and outs of the issues, but I have heard about it. I knew it was dark romance, that's why I had the book in my Kindle Unlimited, but I was like too afraid to read it. I even bought the audiobook and I never got around to reading it because I knew it was dark and I like fluffy romance, but I had it. Just in case I wanted to read it. I have it there. I don't know if I want to read it before she does the edit. I have the unedited book. I'm hoping she will do an update for the Kindle Unlimited. For now, I think I'm just gonna have to let it be and not read it until the author fixes the issue. Then I'll feel like a lot better reading the book. And it's not in my top priority because of the trigger warnings and whatnot in the book. I'm not like, I want to see what it's about, but at the same time I'm too afraid and I want to see the changes being made first before I dive into it. I don't know. Do you get what I mean? I'm trying to be respectful here. I also have Does It Hurt and Enemies to Lovers by the same author. This one is also a dark romance that involves a guy because apparently he has something to do with like sharks. He studies them and he locks the female protagonist in a shark cage. Who said romance is dead? You know what I mean? I mean, enemies to lovers to a whole new level. When they really said enemies to lovers, they really do mean enemies to lovers. I don't know if I'm there yet. That's why I haven't last on my list on my Kindle Limited. I haven't opened that book in such a long time. It's like at the bottom. I also have some Prime reading. If you have Amazon Prime, you can also use that instead of Kindle Limited. Not only am I trying to like save myself from spending too much money from Amazon, I don't really like to support Amazon if I can. I'm also stopping myself from using Kindle Limited, so I'll actually read my physical TBR and the ebooks that I bought. One can hope and dream. So the 2 Prime reading I have is Shadowland Sector 1 by Mila Young and Shift the God by Shu Mei Meg X. Monster After Dark Book 1. One's a shifter romance and one's a monster romance. Paranormal romance. I don't really know what it's about. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it because I think my Amazon Prime actually ends earlier than my Kindle Unlimited. But that's all the books I have on my Kindle Unlimited and all my physical books that I want to read in the month of January. My reading goal on Goodreads is 300 books. Last year I read 262 books, give or take. I don't think I can achieve 300. Realistically, if I set the goal to 150 to 200, I can do it. I know for a fact in a couple of months I'm going to be behind because I always end up in a reading slump eventually. So I don't know where my life is going to head. Last year I had really like ups and downs. I have a bunch of sleeping problems. That's why I can read in the middle of the night when I have trouble sleeping. I read when I'm stressed. I read when I can't sleep. That's why I could read so many books, and a lot of the times I also read via audiobooks. Yeah, it's possible and it's very much doable. If you have a addictive kind of personality, which I do, and if you have sleeping problems like me, you can read that much books. But despite all of that, setting the goal of 300 books in a year is insane for me. I might have to decrease it, but that's my goal for this year. If you'd like to follow me on Goodreads, feel free. I'll leave all my social links down below. I'll put it here somewhere. I'm Rebecca Amelia everywhere, or I'm Rebecca Mamalia _ because the name has been taken. Amelia with an A. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have anything you'd like to say to me, leave it down below. And hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content from me. Hit the bell for notifications because I will be posting at least 2 whole videos very soon. And after that, I will be on a book buying ban, Kindle Unlimited ban, and then Amazon Prime ban. Anyway, stay safe and healthy and be happy. Goodbye.